So with that, I'd like to have Celeste take the floor. Celeste, you're on.
Thanks, Harley. And hey, everyone, great to be here with you today. It seems like it's been a really exciting couple of days. I apologize. I've had a lot going on, so I haven't been able to participate as much as I would have liked to, but I've been really impressed with the collaboration that was put together here. So I am not actually going to show you a presentation. I thought it would actually just be maybe nicer to just talk to you guys about the work that I do and a little bit about my background. And I'm also happy to answer any questions. I also will say I do need to jump off at 1:45. So we've got about half an hour to go through some of this info. So as Arlie mentioned, my name is Celeste, and I work for an organization called the US Green Building Council. And some of you might be familiar with our organization. We're a Washington, DC based nonprofit, but we do work all over the world. And our organization is most well known for running the LEED certification program. So for any of you that resonates with, LEED stands for, we have a lot of acronyms. So my organization is the US Green Building Council, often referred to as the USGBC. And we run the LEED program, which stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And basically what LEED is that it's a building certification that evaluates the environmental and sustainability of various building types. So you would see like a building being LEED certified, you could see a college campus being LEED certified. And basically it really came out of this idea that back in the late 90s and early 2000s, there were a lot of people that were saying, oh, we want to build energy efficient, or oh, we want green buildings, but there wasn't necessarily a really great way to evaluate what that looked like. So the USGBC formed and brought together a number of experts that work within the realm of being architects and designers and planners, and really established what a proper metric would be to evaluate what a green building would be like, and then established a rating system to go along with that. So we've grown a lot. LEED certifications have grown exponentially. We're going into our third decade with USGBC now, which is pretty exciting. And we've expanded beyond just doing green buildings. We now run a number of different programs, and that's where my role comes in. So I'm a director for what's called the TRUE certification program, and TRUE stands for Total Resource Use and Efficiency, and it is a zero waste certification program. So as we all know, waste is a big issue. I know you've heard a lot about that over the past couple of days, so I'm not going to get too much into that today, but suffice to say that waste is a really challenging issue that we face. Recycling on its own isn't really doing enough. We rely far too heavily on single-use plastics. That's not necessarily our fault as individuals. It's more of a systemic issue. But needless to say, we need solutions for getting around this. And we believe that rating systems such as LEED, such as TRUE, are a great tool to have to be able to solve some of these problems. Clearly, they're not the only thing that need to be done, but it's a way of moving the needle, right? It's a way of saying, okay, this is where we are now, this is where we need to be, and getting a lot of businesses and organizations on board to help make things the norm. And that, just to compare it to LEED, is I think really what we've seen with the green building industry. It used to be sort of like a niche, a very rare thing that you would see with the green buildings, and now it's really become the norm. And with that, the codes have changed, the standards have changed, the requirements has changed. The entire industry has come around to accept that green energy efficiency buildings are actually just the way that we should be. That should just be a normal building. It shouldn't even really be a designation of a green building. That should just be a building. For many reasons, from an efficiency standpoint, cost savings, impact on the environment, occupant health, all of these reasons. So same thing with zero waste, right? That we're currently in this place where we're kind of all the way over here on one side of not really managing our waste at all. And we need to move to a different system, because the reality is that we're just throwing tons of valuable material away right now. And that phrase, throwing it away, really doesn't make any sense either, because there is no actual away, right? What is away? Well, away is a landfill where methane is produced and is contributing to greenhouse gases and also causing leachate into our groundwater and things like that. Away is the ocean, and we're seeing tons of plastic ending up in the ocean. Away is exporting our waste to the global south and making other countries deal with it. And it's not a great system that we have. So our program, True, is a way to help raise awareness about that issue and also provide a tool and a context that companies, facilities, organizations can look to help guide their decisions to make a better impact on their waste infrastructure. And it's also helping them realize that a lot of these materials, they're not just invaluable. It's not just crap. It's not just trash. It's actually valuable material that they can bale to be recycled. They can sell back. They can actually find upstream solutions to managing their waste. And by upstream, if that's sort of a niche word for any of you, that basically means preventing trash from happening in the first place. So that's switching over to something like a reusable solution as opposed to using disposable material. And the best part is that a lot of our facilities are finding that they actually save money from going through the program, because it's more of an operations-based analysis where they realize the different ways that they can save. So there's a lot of opportunity in there. And that's kind of an overview of very high level overview of both my organization and the specific program that I work on. But I bring that up because I know this is sort of an environmental leadership training, and I thought it also might be nice to share with you a little bit about my story and background, which is that I went to school for architecture, so I'm actually trained as an architect. And this was many moons ago at this point, but at the time, it was the early 2000s, and I was very interested in green building. That was something that I thought was really exciting that I wanted to get involved in. I apologize if you're hearing squeaking. That is my dog crying. He wants me to do something with him. So if that's what you're hearing, that's what's going on there. But I was trained as an architect, and I wanted to get involved in green buildings, and I did. I got very involved with the LEED program and energy efficiency, and I did consulting on LEED and working with architects and builders and designers and engineers to make better buildings a reality for about 15 years. And at a certain point, I got really interested in the waste aspect of buildings, because that was continually this issue that was coming up, that we were building our buildings more efficiency. They had better air quality. We were reducing water, but we weren't really reducing waste. And anytime I had to review the construction waste management plan for a project, it was always just, to be totally honest, it was a mess. And so it kind of made me aware of the fact that there was this piece of the puzzle when it came to green buildings that we were missing, and it was the waste piece. And I think that was also around the time where there was starting to be a lot of growing awareness around like plastics in the ocean and the gyres and things like that. And so that sort of coincided with just this growing fascination and interest with getting involved in waste. And it's been around, I don't know, almost 10 years now that I've been working in the waste industry. And that involves a combination of doing composting, education, working for recyclers, and now working for this zero waste program as a director. And it's just been a really fun journey and a really exciting way to kind of connect all these different facets of sustainability. And it's actually really interesting for me right now working for the USGBC, because that was originally the organization that I was basically helping support back 10, 15, almost 20 years ago at this point, when I got involved with LEED. And so it's been very exciting for me to see the green building and the environmental industry kind of pivot and focus on these other issues. And just speaking as a representative for the USGBC, we also have a number of other programs that deal with other facets of sustainability as well. So we have LEED for kind of deals with more like the buildings design and construction. We have True, which does zero waste. We also have something called Peer that addresses grids and sort of like the electrical and power systems. We have Sites, which addresses landscape design and sort of a better place for people to be outside, and a host of other programs as well. And so I just think for any of you that are excited about getting involved in the world of environmental leadership, I just want to kind of communicate. I think there's a lot of different opportunities to do that. I've seen in my relatively short, but actually I guess it's not that short at this point, career of about 20 years, I've seen a lot of growth and change happen. I've seen a lot of commitments being made by organizations that want to do a better job. I've seen a lot of nonprofits and for-profit organizations be immensely successful by working on environmental issues. And I've kind of gotten to see a host of these different strategies throughout my career. And so I would just encourage for any of you, there's a lot of opportunities there to get involved. And I'm definitely happy to, take any of those questions or make any of those suggestions. One thing that I'll just put a plug in for, and then happy to hear from all of you, is I think I'm a firm believer that okay, school is great. And obviously, going through college and getting a bachelor's and a master's degree, obviously that has a lot of value. However, that can be expensive, unapproachable, and really time consuming. So I'm a firm believer that some of these other professional certificates and accrediting opportunities can do kind of a world of good for somebody that is looking to maybe make a pivot in the work that they're doing, or take on a new skill or something like that. We at the USGBC do have a couple of those. We have the lead AP and the lead green associate, which is kind of a common one. So for anyone that thinks like buildings are interesting to them and sustainability in buildings, I really do recommend the lead GA. It's become pretty recognizable as one of the premier ways of sort of showcasing your skill and your interest in the sustainability world. We at True have a zero waste accreditation called the True Advisor, that if anybody is interested in the True Advisor, that's certainly something that I can help you with, that I can connect you with. That would be my pleasure. There's also another great organization called ISSP, which stands for the International Society for Sustainability Professionals. And they also have a sustainability, I think it's like a sustainability excellence certificate. And I just think those are great ways to kind of hone your skills. They're going to be a lot less expensive than going back to school. It's going to be a lot more adaptive to different work situations and lifestyles, and I think a lot less disruptive than going through a full program. I've certainly seen that have a huge benefit in my own experience as a professional. I've relied a lot on professional certificates to help kind of give me skills and background, and I think they look really good on resumes. So that is a quick overview there. Maybe I'll just stop talking for a minute and see if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, Celeste. Oh, well, I don't want to jump in front of anyone. Anyone have any questions of Celeste at this point?
Are you located in Columbus, Celeste?
No, I actually live in New York City. But I've met Arlie and Willie and Tia now through some collaborations that we've had the pleasure of making over the last couple months, and just been really inspired by all the work that you guys are doing. And actually, I will say I did grow up in Cleveland, so I'm not a native Ohioan. I don't live there currently, but I did spend many of my formative years in Cleveland, so I do have that Ohio connection for you.
Well, don't we? And I can't recall her name because she and I was on Mayor Coleman's Green Team years ago with the Ohio chapter. Isn't there an Ohio chapter?
Yes, there is an Ohio chapter. And yeah, that's something that I maybe didn't mention about our organization. We are global. So we are DC based, but we have staff, facilities, projects, certifications all over the world, actually. And yeah, so I'm remote in New York, but I do actually manage the Midwest region for our program.
Okay, with your going back to some of the classes that you offer in certification, let's start with the one that leads you to a certification that I think you said zero waste.
Yes,
what is the cost? What's the fee for that, and what's the length of the actual class itself?
Yeah, so the True Advisor is an interesting one. It is an online module program. So it is just something that people can do on their own time. It's not we don't guide you through it, you guide yourself through it, but it is a whole training program. And then at the end of the training, you take an exam. So that's great. And it is really helpful for, again, kind of like flexible work-life schedule kind of stuff. We have a couple of different fee rates for it. The normal fee for just somebody kind of blindly showing up and going on our website is $450 a person, but we have a lot of discounts that we make available. So I think for anybody here today, I would be able to drop that price. I could probably do like $250 a person for anyone specifically from
Oh, great.
So if
Right.
anyone's interested in that, let me know and I can definitely get you set up for that.
And does the U.S. Green Business Council, do they not provide, but do they host like annual conferences or workshops that we could get tuned into?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think throughout our organization, there's a lot of different things happening like that. I would recommend going on our website, which I'll drop in the chat, usgbc.org. We do have an annual conference called Green Build that rotates location. We just had it in San Diego, California. I was able to go, which was really wonderful. But we also have a number of more location-specific conferences, and we also have many, many virtual events and summits that we put together that would also, a lot of them are free, some of them are not, but I think that makes them a lot more accessible to people in different locations, you know, so you don't have to travel to California or you don't have to travel to Baltimore or wherever it's happening. So I would definitely recommend getting on some of those newsletters, and they definitely have newsletters that focus on different issues. So if equity is an issue that's important to you, there's, you know, equity focused newsletters and events. If indoor air quality is something that's exciting to you, so you know, all these different things have focused newsletters with those events, contacts, and things that are going on. So I'll drop that in the chat right now.
Okay, great. Now, while you're dropping, give us an explanation of LEED. What are the different stages? I know that our school that they built, it's been about 8 years ago. They are, I think, I don't know if they are what level, gold, I'm not sure, gold or platinum. Could you explain to those that even myself, I sometimes forget what the different stages of being certified LEED?
Yeah, of course. So it's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. So basically, LEED, LEED, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. What it basically is a program, a rating system that is made up of a number of different sections, and each section deals with a different facet of a building's design and performance. So there will be a section on energy efficiency. There will be a section on water efficiency. There will be a section on indoor air quality. There will be a section on occupant health and safety. Honestly, I don't even know how many categories there are at this point because it's changed a lot over the years, and I haven't kept up because I kind of work on a different program. But let's say there's about 9 or 10 categories. Innovation is a category, planning is a category. And each of these different categories are going to have different prerequisites and credits that make up a comprehensive overview of that building. So let's see, for energy efficiency, there's going to be a minimum prerequisite criteria that the building needs to hit to be able to be considered energy efficiency, energy efficient. If you do 5% better than that, you might get a point. If you do 10%, you might get 2 points. If you do 15%, you know, you get it, et cetera, et cetera. Same under water efficiency. If you install a certain fixture that has a flow rate of 2.0, that might be the requirement. If you install a better flow fixture, you might get a point. If you install an even better flow fixture, you might get 2 points. So then basically, as a project, you all come together, all the different players involved, the architect, the owner, the developer, the planner, the landscape architect, the builder, the energy efficiency expert, the interiors person, all come together and essentially like break out who's going to do what. And then they go forward and they implement the building, they go through design, they go through construction, they go through the whole thing. And then at the end, or really periodically throughout, they're going to be analyzing like which points are they going to get? Are they meeting all their prerequisites? And then at the very end of the project, they're going to submit all that information to our organization, the USGBC, and we're going to review it. And we're going to review it to make sure that they're meeting all of the required criteria. And then we're going to review their points to make sure that they're meeting, you know, the minimum number of points. And this is where those tiers come into play, the certified, silver, gold, and platinum, based on the number of points that they get from having gone through that rating system and saying, okay, what are we doing in energy efficiency? What are we doing in water efficiency? They're going to come out of that and they're going to have 30 points. They're going to have 50 points. They're going to have 70 points, whatever that is. and each different point threshold is going to match up with a different certification tier. So if they come out of it with 90 points, they might get platinum, which is the highest tier. If they come out of it with 30 points or something like that, they might just come in as certified. So, and they can certainly go back and say, okay, well, we want to, we got certified, but now we want to go back and try and get some more points for, after the building is already occupied, we can like change a few things and update a few things. And then they might be able to come back and recertify it gold or something like that. What I just explained about LEED applies identically to True. Because we're the same organization, our program works very much the same way, but instead of all the things having to do with like energy efficiency and water efficiency, they're all things having to do with waste. So leadership, training, reduction section, reuse section, zero waste reporting, and we'd have different criteria that they need to meet and different points that they can hit. Depending on the number of points and meeting all of our required criteria, they'll come in at a certain level of certification.
Celeste, years ago, and I'm going to say it's been at least 10, the superintendent of Reynoldsburg Schools had a community meeting to help him and the school board design a brand new high school on Summit Road. Yeah, and so I asked Steve Dacken, I said, have you considered the LEED certification in your building of this new high school? He said, yes. Do you know anything about it? And I said, yeah, I have a friend that is actually over the Ohio chapter. But here's my question. Okay, so they go ahead and they're building this building. I always wondered, I can't remember what status I think they're platinum, at least for the school itself. Well, who came in and checked to see if they actually implemented those standards as far as building standards? I mean, is there someone that actually checks, that comes out and does? Okay, I just wondered because, I could say I'm LEED certified, gold, silver, platinum, and diamond. And if there's no one checking, who's to know what kind of materials that I put into that building, including geothermal heating and solar panels and all that other good stuff. So someone
that all gets reviewed. It gets reviewed by our staff and by consultants that are hired by our staff. So yeah, we're a big team. There's thousands of people that work for our organization in various roles, and definitely reviewing and auditing those projects is a big part of it. So yeah, that's a key piece of the program.
Now, does that also apply to federal buildings when they're building? Do they have to, is that mandatory for federal buildings to be at least at certain a level because we're paying for those buildings out of my pocket and your pocketbook, and Tia, she got a big pocketbook, but I'm just saying, is that a standard of building standard LEED for federal buildings and even state buildings?
Yeah, it depends on the location and the jurisdiction. Like in DC, for example, I know that is a requirement. In New York, I believe it also is a requirement, but not everywhere. So yeah, it really depends on the location. I don't think we have like a federal mandate with that nationwide, but it would be something to aspire to for sure.